Welcome to Down the Road with me, Joel Heitkamp. We get a chance today to talk about a lot of things. Dr. David Roush is going to join us. He's with Texas A&M. We're going to talk to him about the big vote yesterday with Marjorie Taylor Greene, what this means long term. Also, we're going to head to Oxbow. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl food. We're going to talk about some tailgate food. And I don't know that we're going to tailgate when it's going to be 40 below wind chill as much as what we're going to try to find out just what we should be making for the Super Bowl. Larry Magda's going to join us as well today. We're going to talk about internet safety. Since February 9th is International Safety Week. But I've been looking forward to this since I found out that he's willing to come on. Dave Moulton's going to join us. He's co-host of Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio. Let's bring him in. David, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Joel, how the heck are you?
You know, my petition is gaining speed. Can I just tell you that in advance?
I heard something about this petition, but I heard that gaining steam is up for interpretation.
Well, to today matters. I mean, I have a petition, ladies and gentlemen, out there that would make the NFL move the Super Bowl to Saturday. And, of course, after having it out there for a number of months, I'm up to 21 signatures. I just checked my cell phone. That's huge, David. Huge.
How many are not related?
Well, or pets. Or you know, I mean, that's a whole side issue.
Paw prints count. Good to know.
Exactly. I do want to ask you, I mean, if you had your say, if you were the NFL commissioner, and you knew the game started at 5:30, would you move it to Saturday?
No, for this reason. The Saturday is the worst viewed television day of the week. All right. What I would do, though, next year the NFL goes from 16 to 17 games. So that puts us one more week into February. Guess where that gets us really close to? President's Day weekend. If I was the NFL, I would have Super Bowl Sunday, the Sunday before President's Day, so that we could have our unofficial national holiday actually be a national holiday the next day.
Boom.
That's what I would do.
I'll throw the petition away. I will throw that makes complete sense. The Bison have been going to the national championship for how long? And, you know, they finished playing in like early December, and they don't play that national championship game until after the first of the year. So you're on solid ground in making your argument, David. You really are.
But the great thing for the Bison, you know, they usually play that game on a Saturday, okay, which allows everybody 36 to 48 hours to party and get their bearings and get back home and all that. You know, once again, you have to allow the fans time to no longer be hooked on phonics.
Well, speaking as somebody who's been to every one of those Bison championships, I have to tell you, the best thing about the media hotel is adjoining rooms. Because those people that you work with can go to the office. Anyway, that's a whole nother issue, the office sale. David, I want to talk to you about this game.
Are you sure? Because I think 7 or 8 minutes on the adjoining rooms in Frisco could be very entertaining. But all right,
I got one great story. I'll tell you someday about that. But when we sit here and we talk, okay, it's no big surprise that the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. Fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Is it a surprise to you who works in this? I mean, your co-host, Miller and Moulton. You're working for Fox Sports Radio. You've been around this sports broadcasting all your life. And by the way, you're doggone good at it. You notice I'm not swearing. But, you know, the Chiefs don't surprise you, but does Tampa Bay surprise you?
Yes. And, you know, I did the NFL with Fox all year long at 30 games, saw Tampa a half dozen times. You know, it was only a month and a half ago they were 7-5 and they were really struggling. So the fact that they put all this together actually is very much like the Chiefs last year. The Chiefs were 6-4 at one point last year, figured it out, and have only lost one game since that Mahomes has started. He's 25-1 in his last 26 starts. But I'll say this, the Bucs had a really good roster with a quarterback that committed the most turnovers in the league in Jameis Winston the year before. So just bringing in even somebody as maligned in your neck of the woods as Kirk Cousins would have taken Tampa Bay from a 7-win team to a 10 or 11-win team just because he wouldn't turn it over as much. The difference is Brady in big games. I mean, the fact that they have now gone on the road, beat Breeze and the Saints and Rodgers and the Packers, that I don't think they do with a Cousins. Okay, Brady has brought something to this team, not just on the field. You know, there's a story that emerged half hour after they won the NFC Championship. There was a young Buccaneer who was crying tears of happiness, you know, living his lifelong dream of going to the Super Bowl. And Brady came up to him kind of like Tom Hanks, you know, in that baseball movie in which he said, "Hey, what are you crying about? We got another game in 2 weeks." And the kid was like, oh, I'm sorry, Tom. You know, there's no crying in baseball. You know, I mean, so that's what Brady walked into the room and said, "You guys don't know about winning a championship. I do. Follow me." And they have.
I went down to Kansas City as a Viking season ticket holder last year, okay, and watched my Minnesota Vikings lose to a backup quarterback. So I know a little bit about what you're saying. I have family in Kansas City, which puts me in a position where I have to cheer for the Chiefs, but there is a reason for me to really look at Tampa Bay and not be heartbroken if they win this, and that's 2 words: Bill Belichick. I love the fact that Tom Brady is showing that he was the straw that mixes the drink when it came to New England. And I have to tell you, David, there's something good about that.
Well, what's remarkable, and I'm trying to think of the upper Midwest sports figure, you know, I guess it would have been a healthy Kirby Puckett finishing his career somewhere other than Minnesota. And Twins fans loved Kirby so much, they would have rooted for Kirby. Okay, they would have. They would not have been, you know, bummed that he left, but would have rooted for him 100% as long as he wasn't beating the Twins on the way to another World Series. You know, somebody like that. And that's what the New England fan, you know, a group that's usually kind of miserable. All right, and usually they turn on you once you leave their family. There's not a Patriots fan I know that is not rooting for Tom Brady. Then you've got the other fans who, you know, like Tom Brady to begin with. Then, let's face it, Joel, then you got old guys like us. I mean, you know, 43-year-old against 25-year-old. You know, we're living vicariously through the middle-aged quarterback. I mean, you know, come on. We can do this, Tom.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Trust me. I went through that. You talk about old guys like us. I remember watching the New York Giants when they got Fran Tarkenton for a little while.
Oh, there you go.
Gary Quazzo. Remember that name? You know,
I do.
Exactly. So want to talk a little bit about the game itself. I mean, David, you've been breaking down this game. What do you see happening?
This game is really not that complicated. If Kansas City can block Tampa Bay, they should win. But they're playing with 2 backup tackles. And Tampa Bay can rush the passer effectively with 4 guys. And they have 2 defensive ends that essentially are double-digit sack guys. And for those that watch the NFC Championship, you saw Tampa Bay with 4 guys sacked Aaron Rodgers 6 times. And the first time they met, they sacked him 5 times. And they made life miserable on Breeze as that game went on also. Can Kansas City block Tampa Bay? If they can, they'll win. I mentioned Mahomes is 25-1 in his last 26 starts. He's 26-2 in his last 28. Both times that he lost, he put 32 points on the board. You've got to score a lot, 35, 38, if you're going to beat Kansas City. And I don't think that Tampa Bay can get there unless their defense helps.
Well, and this shows folks why David Moulton knows what he does and why he's been doing it for a number of years. David, I worked my way all the way up to Division I, refereeing college football, and I was an umpire. So you know where I was. I was right there in the heart and soul of where the big boys were. You mentioned, Kansas City offensive linemen. Yeah, I watched North Dakota State's very own Billy Turner get moved to that left tackle position for the Green Bay Packers. I love Billy. Interviewed him many times. Somewhat of a groupie, quite frankly. He got beat. I mean, he got beat in that game.
I mean, Jason Pierre-Paul's just better. And, Billy Turner's a solid NFL player. He's more a guard than a tackle. He's a swing tackle. Well, a former Viking, Mike Remmers is now going to have to block JPP. for, Kansas City. That's not a good matchup for the Chiefs. Now, I expect them to go to the short passing game. They've got a lot of weapons. I think they can game plan around their inability to block Tampa Bay consistently. I do.
One of the things
that's the game within the game, in my opinion.
One of the things that I really noticed in the Tampa Green Bay game is the experience of a Brady. And I'm not talking about what everybody sees. Throwing to the wide receiver, the game moves slower for him than the average person. What I noticed is when Green Bay did get to him, how well he deals with that. He knows when to go to the ground. He knows when to tuck the ball. He knows the things that experience brings you so that he pops back up. One of the things that I look at with Tom Brady is I look at Tom Brady still being in the game in the fourth quarter. And I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, if Tampa Bay is close in the fourth quarter, then they're probably going to win for this reason. They were the second best fourth quarter defense in the league. They gave up less than 4 points per fourth quarter during the regular season. And they just played New Orleans and New Orleans and Green Bay and Green Bay. And in the fourth quarter of those two games gave up a total of 3 points. And the games were close. It was tied in New Orleans going to the fourth. They led by 5 going to the fourth in Green Bay. So the game, one mistake and they easily could have lost it. Tampa Bay defensively, for whatever reason, gets really better as the game goes on. And even the first time these two teams played, I believe Tampa Bay shut them out in the fourth quarter. So if Tampa can hang in there, I like the old guy's chances.
Yep, fair to say. In the 10 seconds I have left, I need to know, how big of a factor is playing at home for Tampa Bay?
I don't think much. Kansas City's already won there, number one. Number two, road teams won more games this year than home teams. It's supposed to rain a little bit. It's supposed to be about 70, and there's about a 50% chance of rain. I actually think that might have more factor than the fact the game's in Tampa.
All right, I'll throw my petition away. I agree with where you're going. So President's Day. David, this is fun. Have fun. And you know what? I'll call you for some advice when I get to with my buddies in the fish house. We start doing a little gambling on this game, okay?
Listen, I want to hear about that adjoining room in Frisco. Okay.
It's a good story. Trust me. Folks, when we come back, we're going to head to West Texas A&M. Going to visit a little bit about what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene when we come back down the road.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef in all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work. Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Arrow Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Thanks for staying in the rig and coming down the road with us a little bit more. I'm going to head to Texas. In fact, West Texas A&M. Dave Roush, Dr. Dave Roush, he's earned that, is a professor of political science, and we've asked him to come on, and he's willing to do it. Dr. Roush, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Well, thanks for having me. The last time I was actually in North Dakota, I flew in for a job interview, and I landed in a blizzard. So this is a little bit more comfortable, little less, I don't know, they were threatening to divert us to Bismarck, and I was trying to figure out, how do I get from Bismarck to Fargo? Because the interstate was closed, so I would have been stuck in Bismarck for 2 days.
On the little lake I live on, there's a ice fishing derby this weekend, and I can tell you those folks that are going to be in the tip-ups, which I don't know if you know what that means, but fish houses where you just pull the top over and you're sitting inside, they're going to be cold versus people like me with fish houses with microwaves in them. You know what I mean? Want to talk to you a little bit about what's been playing out on a national scale. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been getting a lot of attention. The young first-term congresswoman from Georgia sounded a little bit more contrite yesterday than what she had sounded before, and quite frankly, today. And we'll get to that in just a second. But for the majority in the House, and there were Republicans that went with that majority in the House, voting to strip away her committees. Give me your take on that. What do you think happened there?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those, we always tell our students when they're applying for jobs and stuff to try to, hide their social media stuff they did, I'm at the kegger, this is a great rave type of thing, that you don't want to be hired by Catholic Charities and indicate how many, boyfriends you had as a sorority member. But that's kind of a normal thing. Apparently, members of Congress don't look that far back or look that far ahead to remove their social media presence before they run for Congress. So, I think what's happening there is that the Republicans weren't able to encourage her to sort of voluntarily get off the committees, that then the whole House had to come in and vote. It's very, very unprecedented. In fact, I've been trying to find any time that the whole floor, the floor of the House, the whole House, actually voted to remove someone from their committees. Usually, the member of Congress will resign from those committees voluntarily.
All right, so let me talk to you a little bit about a blog that I just wrote. And I wrote that the Democrats, I'm a Democrat, I'm a former state senator from the state of North Dakota, so my family's been in politics a long time, if you've ever heard the name Heidi. But, here's the thing.
No,
by the way,
really?
That isn't her name. Her real name's Mary Catherine, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. I think the Democrats, to some degree, made a mistake. Number one, they set a precedent that they're going to have to live with. Number two, the Republicans that are going around on the Senate side, Mitch McConnell and others that are saying, she doesn't represent us. My blog points out that she was birthed by the Republican Party. She is a mirrored image of Donald Trump. And if for 5 years they embraced and liked Donald Trump, they had no right to criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, she's definitely a product of her times, and you can use that definition as much as you want. The interesting thing that I hadn't realized, and there's 435 members of the House. It's virtually impossible to track all 435 of them, considering that we actually had an election this year in our district where we had an open seat. So I had to track my own district. But the interesting thing is she's actually not even from that district. She's from essentially the other side of Atlanta and moved over there just to run in that district because it was an open seat. That's probably the most fascinating part. But there are, if you look at her campaign finance records, there are contributions from members of the Freedom Caucus in the House. I will have to agree with you that it is a dangerous precedent to be setting. I do think that many Democratic candidates, if they're running for Congress in 2022, are going to start scrubbing their social media items, even just their high school records. They may even go back and look at their old yearbooks to try to find, because you might remember that from a couple of years ago, where appearing in blackface on your college yearbook, wasn't Justin Trudeau up in Canada had some issues appearing as an Indian, a South Asian Indian, in some sort of event that during his college days. So I do think a lot of looking back is going to be happening among candidates and current members of Congress, and I hope presidential candidates.
Well, let me give you one of my takes on it. Number one, she did, like you said, she did move just to be in a position where she could run. And of course, the safe district. What do you think about the fact that she, quite frankly, doesn't have to worry about winning? Democrats are as guilty of this as what Republicans are. They've drawn out such safe districts that the Marjorie Taylor Greens know they're going to win, right? As soon as the primary's over. I mean, what's your take on that?
She is definitely, as I said, a child of her times, but also a child of gerrymandering. You draw the districts to protect an incumbent, and then the incumbent decides, I'm not going to run for re-election, but wait, we didn't draw the district for her. That's one of the interesting things. I've seen a couple of editorials from Georgia newspapers suggesting the way to get rid of her is just to draw her out of her district and maybe put her in with a stronger, maybe a longer-term incumbent. But at least redraw her district so it's a little less comfortable for her that she may have. She may actually even run into a Republican opponent in the primary. Freshman members of Congress are more likely to lose than, say, a sophomore member or someone who's been there 10 years or 15 years. So she still has to worry, I think, look a little bit about what's going to happen in her next election just because she is a freshman.
So, we just went through an election where, you had the Republican Party turn AOC and the squad or whatever, however you want to define it, but you had them turn these individuals into the face of the Democratic Party. We had a candidate up here on the Minnesota side where I live, Colin Peterson, long-term congressman in the 7th District, a chairman of the House Ag Committee, one of the most powerful positions for what you can be up here that we need. But yet his opponent ran a race based upon the imagery that she wanted to present the Democratic Party to be. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene become that person now on the other side of the aisle?
If I were a Democrat, and I actually did some research on the Democrat who did run against her, but if I were a Democrat anywhere, I would start using her as the fundraising tool. She's using herself as a fundraising tool, so why can't Democrats use her to raise funds? Here's what you could put up a picture perhaps of Senator McConnell, and then on the back side of the flyer, but no, here's what the real Republican Party looks like. So I think if I were a Democrat, I'd probably use her as much as I could. Maybe not pay her back or anything, but definitely just use her. Use her as the face of, she's now the Republican squad. Just call her the Republican squad.
Yeah. Yesterday, she sounded a little contrite on the House floor, but take a look at this tweet that she sent out this morning. She hasn't backed off any at all. When you say that she's using it to basically raise money, I woke up early this morning literally laughing, thinking about what a bunch of morons the Democrats, plus 11, majority part, are for giving someone like me free time. In this Democrat tyrannical government, conservative Republicans have to say, have no say on committees anyway. Oh, this is going to be fun. Do you really think that the Republicans in the House are jumping up and down after that Twitter that they supported her?
The ones who supported her, most of them are pretty well safe incumbents, I guess you would call them. I don't know about those 11. We need to do a lot more research on those 11 that voted. The Republicans voted against her. But I do think Republicans today have a lot more power in their committees than they had last session, because the Republicans gained some seats, so the ratios changed ever so slightly. And I mean, jumping for joy, now she has lots of free time. Yeah. She does, but I'm thinking that the Republicans who voted to keep her on those committees are probably going to be looking at their backs too, trying to keep track of who might be chasing them. Yeah. Among the Republican Party, even. So this is a fun. I think this is a fun time to be a political scientist.
You think, Dr. Roush? This is fun. We're going to do it again. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's time. We need to talk about food, ladies and gentlemen. Super Bowl food. My petition is getting thrown if you were with us in the beginning, my petition to move the Super Bowl to Saturday, only 21 signatures. So now we need to talk about what we're going to eat on Sunday. So let's do that when we come back as we head down the road.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
Everybody needs an off-season, but our announcers have a tough time slowing down.
Hey, do you mind if I practice a little bit? Right, I'm really big man. Johnson holds, shoots, he scores! Incredible! For the second time today, Brent has jammed the printer.
Lowry's third caramel roll of the day. That's a bold move.
And he drains one. Blind squirrel finds a nut. And back to normal.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Good to have you still along. Obviously, everybody knows what's going on this weekend. Even if you're not a sports fan, you still want to take part in that party. It's not going to be the same. I realize it's a COVID world, but that doesn't mean you can't have a good time with the people that you can. be around, right? And part of the Super Bowl is the food. I mean, it really is. It's the food. Scott Muschenbacher is with us. He is the executive chef at the Oxbow Country Club. He knows what the heck he's doing. Scott, good to have you coming down the road.
Good to be with you, Joel. You know, like I said, I was listening to you this morning, and now here I am sitting in front of you. So this is kind of cool.
Good. It's good to have you here.
Good to be.
Want to talk to you about some of that Super Bowl food. Want to get a chance to visit with you about what the favorites are, what you recommend?
Right. So obviously, you know, wings are going to be a big deal. Everybody goes for wings. You know, I was talking with my vendor earlier this week, and they had ordered almost 800 cases of wings in. And this is just for the FM area. And this was on Tuesday. They got the wings on Sunday, I believe. Tuesday, they had 6 cases left. So I had to jump and get a bunch of wings in because obviously wings are a big Super Bowl thing.
Boned in or not?
Bone in.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Got to be. Well, see, that's the chef part of you.
Yes.
Right there. And you're right.
100%.
Yeah.
The boneless, that's chicken nuggets for kids. Anyway, so what we like to do is we do a nice rub with some brown sugar, some paprika, a little cumin, whatever kinds of seasonings that you like to do. Make sure you get a little sugar in there because this is going to work really well with this application. So what we'll actually do is we'll bake off our wings about 250 degrees for about an hour and a half just to render out some of that fat. And then you let those cool, and then we'll throw those on the grill. Now, I know grilling might be kind of difficult these times, but I'm going to fire mine up in the garage. I got a heated garage. I'm going to open the door a little bit, keep a close eye on it. I don't want any angry phone calls that I burnt down your garage. So
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's the only way to
go. I've got a Yoder now, and I just love it. I never thought of actually, you know, baking them to get the fat off them a little bit.
Yeah,
so I'm learning.
Yeah. Because a lot of wings, you know, especially the bone-in, there's a lot of fat in those, so you want to render that out just so you can get a nice crisp on the outside. With that sugar, when you throw those on the grill, it's going to create that Maillard effect. So that Maillard effect is when the meat is actually caramelizing, which gives it that really awesome charred flavor, just makes that meat so much more better.
Yeah, no, I can see it. The only problem I ever have with seasoning, like you just talked about, is when people make it citrusy, and that's it's like, come on.
No.
Now you're trying too many things.
I agree 100%. I mean, if you want citrus, you know, do some chicken breast, tacos, whatever, something like that. But with this, just do a nice dry rub, get those things on the grill. And, you know, while you got that grill fired up, why not do some pizzas? I mean, there's some nice frozen pizzas that you can do, or you can make your own dough too. Just a quick, simple recipe, just 2 cups of warm water, a tablespoon of yeast, 5 cups of...
Okay, walk me through that again.
Okay. 2 cups of warm water, and then a tablespoon of yeast mixed into that water. It's going to help that yeast bloom, which is going to help your dough rise. So after you let that sit for just a little bit, you're going to mix that in with 5 cups of flour, and then you're going to do a tablespoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So what that sugar does is helps to proof that dough a little faster because the yeast actually eats the sugar up, and the yeast is almost kind of a living thing where it'll actually burp after it eats that sugar, and that's what kind of makes your dough rise. So now obviously you can't throw this dough directly onto your grill because it's just going to droop down and you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So just preheat an oven 350 degrees, roll your dough out, cook the dough off for about 10 minutes. That's all you need. Take it out, top it, throw it on the grill, get that nice char flavor on the crust, and you get some good pizza.
I couldn't think. I mean, mentally, I'm like, okay, got to remember. I'm not going to remember,
Right.
but I'm going to go back and I might text you and say, okay,
Absolutely.
I've got an Uno, so I that's how I cook pizza when I'm cooking my own pizza. You know, stone fired. I love it.
It's so much better. Plus, you get such a higher heat with your grill too, so your pizza cooks a lot faster, and you get that nice crust on the bottom that you can only get from the nice pizzerias. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, what else? I got pizza. I've got wings.
So I think a lot of us are going to be imbibing on this Super Bowl. I know you're talking about moving it to Saturday, which I totally agree with. I'll sign that petition.
Now I'm up to 22.
There you go. Yeah. But anyways, you know, we're talking about Sunday. We got a lot of people calling in sick to work because they maybe hit a couple too many. So go with something spicy. Do, you know, some jalapeno poppers, mix some cream cheese, cheddar cheese, maybe some bacon in there. do some spicy foods because spicy foods helps to metabolize the alcohol faster. So hopefully
That's why it works for me at Viking games.
there
See?
you go.
Now I know.
So hopefully that'll help eliminate some of that alcohol from your system. So come Monday morning, you can still get to work.
Okay, one take on the poppers. Carlene Bertels, good friend. She's got a tailgate at Vikings game, Viking season ticket holder. I go there and she makes a ton of poppers.
Sure.
But she freezes them and she brings them out and different times during the. But hers are small. When I've been around some people, now you're a chef, so you actually have taste in your food.
Right.
Nothing against Carlene, they're
No.
absolutely great. I don't like the big poppers. I don't. Do you see out at
agree.
Oxbow people? What's people's favorite?
I agree. I agree with the smaller poppers. So what you can do is, a lot of times at the store, all you can get is big jalapenos. So just cut that in half or cut that into quarters, stuff it, wrap it in bacon, and then cook it off that way. Then it's more of just a bite, But you're still getting a little bit of spice, help metabolize that alcohol, so we can all go to work Monday morning.
Well, the poppers is a big hit for me.
Absolutely.
It is. Is it me or like the little wieners in the crock pot? Have they kind of gone by the wayside?
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw that, and I think it's gone by the wayside.
Remember when they were the big hit?
Oh, yeah. 10, 15 years ago, everybody was doing them. You could go any party you were going to, everybody had barbecue wieners. And now I think people have better taste, hopefully, because, they're good, but we can
You're a chef.
We can do better,
Yeah,
people.
you're a
Come on.
chef.
There's too many cooking shows. There's too much literature out there for you to keep doing those stupid little weenies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I went into your garage and you've got 30 people at your Super Bowl party, and hopefully next year you will.
Hopefully next year.
But if I go in there, what are you going to have? You're going to have pulled pork or pulled beef?
Pulled pork, for sure.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Without a doubt.
Write that on your business card, and I'm going to hand that to every one of my friends.
I like
That's
that.
not worth a debate.
Yeah. And it's, pulled pork is so easy. It's kind of a set it and forget it thing because there's so much fat when you do like a Boston butt or a pork shoulder. It's something that you can do put in the oven the night before, low and slow, 250 degrees, get a nice dry rub on there, and let that go for about 12 hours. You go to bed at 10 o'clock, throw it in. You wake up the next morning at 8 o'clock or whatever it is, pull the tin foil off the top, turn on your broiler inside your oven, and you get a nice crispy crust on the outside of that, and that's good. You can do tacos, sandwiches, whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so walk me through the ultimate nacho. I order a plate from you. How do you make them?
See, now, a lot of people aren't into this, but I like to do a little queso and then do some shredded cheese over the top. So you got the nice ooey gooey queso, plus the shredded cheese over the top, so you get a little combination of flavors. I do some fresh jalapenos, fresh onions, throw some pulled pork on there. You can do, the sky's the limit with nachos.
Whatever you're in the mood for.
Exactly.
I got a buddy that went and bought a bunch of shrimp.
Sure.
He's like grilled shrimp. I think that the biggest mistake, whenever I go over to a friend's house and they're like, put all this investment into grilled shrimp, it always seems like they cook it too long.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems with novice seafood cooks, if you will, is the shrimp goes really, really quick, and you got to keep a really close eye on it. Once it turns red on the one side, flip it on the other side. You're not going to be on the grill for much more than 2 minutes.
There.
Yep.
2 minutes, boom, that easy.
Yep.
Not to mention the fact that you can eat a lot while you're grilling.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what's on the menu? Tell me.
So we're going to be doing, like I said, pizzas, wings, build your own nachos.
Who wins the game?
I'd like to see Kansas City pull it off again. I don't think Brady needs another ring. I don't think he's got enough fingers for that.
You and a whole bunch of people out there. But, I personally think Tampa Bay is going to lose, but they're going to lose big. I think this is a game where one can get away from the other.
Yeah. Well, and they got home field advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And I'm surprised the NFL's letting that many people in there. So it's going to, although it's got to be big money, right? You can only get in there. It's really not home field advantage if nobody from home is there.
Right. I wonder what the ticket sales are going to be. I mean, as far as how much they're costing at this point, because if it's limited people, obviously, I think that would drive up the price of tickets.
Scott, I'd love to be in your garage, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely,
Thanks
Joel.
for going down the road with us. Larry Maggot's going to join us when we come back. We're going to get a chance to talk about internet safety right here as we head down the road.
Howdy, folks. It's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
We've got you hungry now, right, haven't we? I mean, when you start hearing people talk that really know how to cook and cook good tailgate food, there's so many things a guy does that he just makes basic mistakes on, and it's just like, okay, maybe I can learn something there and make things better. When we were talking about pulled pork versus pulled beef, I'll eat beef any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I love beef. I love pork. But I have to tell you, when you're pulling something like that and serving it that way, it just seems that pork is the way to go. Now, when I was sitting there thinking about, okay, kebabs, it's got to be beef, it's got to be, maybe it's got to be beef. A lot of different vegetables for me as well. But if you put shrimp on it, I'm always careful because it might take a little bit longer with that beef and then put the shrimp on a little bit later. But, I'm going to repeat this. Carlene Bertelson from Fairmont, North Dakota. I mean, you're sitting there in Fairmont in a garage, and she brings out these jalapeno poppers, and the thing to do is, I'm always hiding. I don't want them to be able to count how many that I took. They're that good. And so I get fired up for Super Bowl. I get fired up for the food. I get fired up for Well, this year, not the fellowship that a guy normally gets, but I just love being around people watching the game. It should be played on Saturday. It should be for a lot of different reasons, not the least of which then you get a chance to rest on Sunday. And maybe this suggestion you heard earlier in this show about, holding it the Sunday before President's Day is the perfect way to go. I can guarantee you this, for those companies that don't give President's Day off as a paid holiday, they would really be under a lot of pressure to give President's Day off as a paid holiday. They would. Super Bowl, I'm going to give you a little bit of a prediction a little bit later in the show, not the least of which is going to be the things that are going to happen during the game itself. It's one thing to sit and have a final score. It's one thing to sit there and look on your board, which, okay, gambling's illegal in my listening or in viewing area. I get it. I know it. But a lot of you are on a board. Can we just admit that? A lot of you are on a Super Bowl board. A lot of you in your workplace or with your family or in a lot of different ways, you've got some way of keeping track of what's going to happen each quarter, each half, the final. I can tell you this, my advice to you is to focus on the final and don't put down fourth quarter. Because we had that happen once. We had a situation happen where the game went into overtime, and here we sat, going, which one do you pay? Do you pay the fourth quarter or do you pay overtime? And the truth of the matter is you should always pay overtime. So a lot of things happening with the Super Bowl this weekend. You have really two different eras, right? You've got Tom Brady, who is going to go down. The minute he is eligible to be elected into the Hall of Fame, he's going. And he is the greatest quarterback ever to play in the NFL, period. We can talk about how wonderful a lot of others are. You can go back in time. You can talk about Johnny Unitas. You can talk about Fran Tarkenton. You can talk about Otto Graham. You can talk about all of these individuals. But what you have to acknowledge is what Tom Brady has done in his time with the helmet on. And he's done more than anybody else. To be able to leave your team, go down to a completely different offensive scheme and sit there and lead them to a Super Bowl. He's only been out of New England for a year. And here he sits in the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not cheering for him. I'm cheering for Kansas City because I have family in Kansas City. And I want them to be happy. I've been to Arrowhead Stadium. That's a football stadium. That's the way a football stadium should be. It's absolutely gorgeous. The fans, wonderful. Just wonderful to tailgate with, to visit with in the stands. Just a wonderful place to be. Unlike Philadelphia, which, by the way, I was at when the Vikings went there and got beat, Philadelphia is the worst place to go to an away game. Hey, if you're the opposing team, you're sitting there and you're a target. I mean, you wear your team colors, you got a target on your back. And it's absolutely ridiculous how they can take the fun away from people. But that's Philadelphia. That's the Eagles. That's who they are. And quite frankly, I think they're proud of it. And unfortunately, they shouldn't be proud of it. This game, this Chiefs Tampa Bay game is going to be a game that everybody needs. We need in this COVID world that we're living in right now. I remember when baseball kicked in last spring. I remember when baseball kicked in and I was like, yes, I'm going to have a game to watch. I'm going to be able to sit there and enjoy something and not sit there and constantly think of COVID, not constantly think of how we're all kind of bottled up and doing what we should do. Those things, the people not in the stands, I get it. I understand it. I mean, I'm a Viking season ticket holder, as I mentioned. I want to be in those stands. If I didn't, I wouldn't be buying those tickets. But I will tell you, not being in those stands is pretty small compared to people being able to watch that game. Millions being able to watch the NFL. They did something. They did. They went out there and they played the game. And they gave us an opportunity to really just, relax and enjoy something. And that's what this game's going to mean to me. It really is. And also, it's like I said, it's generational. You got a 43-year-old quarterback versus a quarterback in his young 20s who's going to be someday that I think, barring injury, is going to be in the Hall of Fame himself. Plus, Mahomes' dad played for the Minnesota Twins. Keep that in mind. There's another reason to cheer for Kansas City, because you have the opportunity to cheer for somebody who has some roots around this area, who did live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. It's going to be interesting. And, all right, watch me get in trouble with some of you. Well, quite frankly, with a lot of you. The upside for me as a Minnesota Vikings fan is that neither one of those two teams that are in this game are the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, there's a lot of you throwing shoes at your TV right now, but I am not a Packer fan. And the fact that Tampa Bay beat the Packers put a smile on my face. When we come back, prediction time. What do we think's going to happen in the game? How does it break down? We'll visit with you about that right here as we go down the road.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Rush hour traffic in North Dakota, it's almost unheard of, Noah.
I'm speechless. It's something you just don't see around here, especially at this hour of the day.
Brian, can you say anything from your perspective?
Guys, I can. All this traffic is because some doofus drove off the road.
Doofus? Well, let's hope you can help him out of there. No. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
All right, great job.
Yeah, that went very well.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
It's just a couple more miles that we have to go together as we head down this road. But, I'm a football fan. I don't hide that at all. I've been talking to you why I'm going to be cheering for Kansas City. Here's a reason why you should be thinking about cheering for Tampa Bay. You've got Joe Haeg playing on the offensive line for Tampa Bay. He's a Bison. He's been part of those national championship teams, and he's a good guy. He's really a good guy, and that matters as well to me. So there's a reason that, and here's the other part of the game. I don't really care. I mean, yeah, you're going to pick a team, you're going to cheer for them, but this is one of those Super Bowls where I'm not. If Tom Brady was playing in New England, I would be cheering 100% against New England, saying that he's got enough rings, right? If the Packers were in this game, I'd know exactly who to cheer for, and it wouldn't be the Packers. If the Bears were in this game, I mean, you get the point. There's no skin in this game for me. Neither one of these teams matter that much to me. Tampa's no longer in the same division as the Vikings. I remember those days when we'd play Tampa a couple times a year. But, you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun because there's going to be a lot of great athletes on that field. I want to talk to you a little bit about what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. And I have no doubt I'll eat crow next week. Every time I predict something like this, you know, I'm usually wrong. But I think Mahomes and what the Chiefs have is too much for Tampa. The only thing that's going to tell me that I'm wrong is in that first quarter if Mahomes is on his butt a couple of times already. If you see one or two sacks of him, it's like, okay, now you've got my attention. Now you've got a situation where, okay, they're doing something and they're ready for this game because Tampa does have a great defensive line. But if they're not able to put pressure on that kid, if he's able to roll out whenever he wants, if he's able to get time to do what he wants, look out. Kansas City's they're gonna roll in this game. The game moves slower for people like Mahomes and Brady. It just does. You can see it through their eyes. It's not as fast of a game for them as what it is for quarterbacks that are just nervous, that are just like, oh, got to do this guy. Oh, there's my check. Doesn't work that way with these guys. They're relaxed. Aaron Rodgers is a perfect example of that. So here's my prediction for you. You ready? Do the math any way you want. 30-10, 40-20. But I think that the Chiefs win this by 10 or by 20 points. Good riding with you, folks.